呈现，拥抱着冬眼泪，恋爱日活在呈现。
Hello and welcome to another Basic Impetus 2 Battle Report with me, Teppo. I hope you enjoyed the music we're running this year. This is actually an ancient Han Chinese song about an old warrior. Apparently goes back at least, well, probably 1,000 years or more. About his return home after the wars. So it's a bit sad, but it's beautiful. And my wife sings it, and as her ancestry is Han Chinese, and the song is Han Chinese, and again I'm using an army with Han Chinese, it all seems very appropriate, and I hope you enjoy it. And also cheer up if you put some nice comments on there about it if you like it. Now, last year's tournament, biggest struggle I had was facing the late samurai, where I sort of clung on for a draw, and I think I was on the wrong end of Jez's army if we'd gone on much further. So let's have a look at the armies and see how they do in our hands, and we get ready for next year. Okay, so first of all, there's the Western Han Army, which you've seen on a couple of reports already now. As you probably know, I'm a big fan of the chariot. I really like the heavy chariot, all that shooting. If you're getting close, pretty tough in a scrap with a VB of 6. It does charge him at 6.3. The criticism, I know Roger, for example, is not such a big fan because it only moves at speed 2. So it's very slow. I like the fact that he can move and wheel. It's the only units that can actually wheel and move without becoming disordered, which can be quite useful if they're trying to get, well, round the edges, charging, that kind of thing. So there you go. I haven't gone for many other fantasy options. So the army looks like that. Oh, there you go. There's a nicer version of it. With the first, it shows there, I got this in the wrong order. This shows the change I could have done at the bottom of the page, where we could have traded out the chariot. But I love the chariot. So there's another little sneak. These rather pretty figures, which I really like. Very proud of those, and it's nice to see them again. And, oh yeah, the other thing was, I get a little bit confused trying to remember which of the light cav can shoot and which can't. Same with the other cavalry, so I've started painting up a few units in Imperial Yellow. These are the guys, you can see I've given them the little lances. The cheapest lances you could ever make. I should do a video on it. They don't even cost a penny each, and they look great. And last ages, no colour fade, all that kind of thing. Also, you'll notice that the cavalry is based on a 6x6 centimetre base. I've done that so I can play other games like Lance of the Gear, DPA, all that kind of thing. And then I've got wall bases to cut me some templates for them to sit into. What I've also realised is you need a bottom, otherwise they fall out. So my good mate Tony over at Tony's Tiny Troops, I'm going to get some more impetus-sized bases to go underneath with the magnetised part. So they'll clunk around a bit easier. So what this means is I'm going to gradually rebase all my armies into that 60mm frontage and have some, I'm calling them frames because they're not really a sabo, are they? So I can pop them in for impetus to the strongest, that kind of thing. So yeah, little idea for you. I'll start putting more of those kind of things up. On to the samurai, and here we go. I'll make for a very tiny image. I can hardly read all that. So please have a look through for yourself. You can see the options. And this is what we end up with option 1 included. So as you can see, there's not really much shooting in there. And we've gone for the trade. As you can see, the bottom 2 are now on zeros, because Roger's chosen with the shooters to upgrade to harquebus A, so you get long range shooting. So I can see the appeal of that, rather than the harquebus B. But if you notice, the A and B are both the same at short range. And I've been puzzling and thinking about this for quite a long time, this army now. I do have the advantage of a couple of weeks of hindsight. And I think I would stick with the harquebus B. Not even bother with long range shooting. I want to get in close, and I see those guys as a delivery system for the core of this army, which is the tough samurai. Because what you're giving up as well is that medium cavalry, the warrior monks, which I think are very useful. It gives you an extra unit. It's a very small army. So I'd be inclined to effectively use the harquebus B as like a sort of skirmisher screen for the large unit. So they can either form a large unit, and they'll take the casualties anyway, so it works out the same thing. Or, you know, I'm a bit of a fan of separating out the shooters and not having a large unit at all. But kind of put them as a skirmisher screen, and then the main stuff will charge through when he gets close. because you want a delivery system to get the samurai in. That's my take on it. So I would play this army slightly differently. But that's how it appears today. So look at some. Now these are on sabos, and one of the reasons we got them based like that is because we like to play Lion Rampant and Samurai is Roger's idea. Nothing to do with me. I just did the painting. Koreans and Samurai are fantastic for Lion Rampant. Seems to fit the flavour and everything. So you can see a couple of the... Oh, I've forgotten what they're called. Banners down the back, and you can see some of those guys. Nice looking army there. And there's all the Teppo, the shooters. They're harquebus A, so they are quite nasty, especially at short range. So there's a look at the army. And here's some of the spear guys. Ashigari. Sorry, that's my Welsh twist on it. Ashigaru. Okay, so we've gone for terrain, and the key feature to look out for is this big hill in the centre on the left as you look. It's not difficult terrain or anything, so it doesn't slow movement. Obviously, it does block shooting, and that's what I want with this army. I've plonked that down there because I want to get in close. I don't really have any long-range shooting to talk about. What I do have is a chance to outnumber the samurai and smash through. On the right, that is difficult terrain, which is creating a long... It's not really a secure border, because you can move through it, but everything's at half speed, even the light infantry. I think I got wrong on one of the other videos. So the light infantry doesn't get disordered, but it does move slowly. I think that's a mistake in the rules. I don't see why light infantry and skirmishers should be slowed down. Whether it reflects their real performance or not, they've got to have an advantage to make them worthwhile. Same as I think heavy should have a bonus in all cohesion tests. But anyway, another discussion for another time. Right, we start to deploy. So Roger's creating himself behind the hill, but he has put 2 woods down, which makes very difficult for me to outflank. And I've got to come through the middle into that shooting line of Teppo. So thank goodness the hill is there. Otherwise it's going to be slaughter, especially for the cavalry. Okay, so we've ended up pretty much like this. And as you can see, I've got the chariot kind of grazing through the wood with its right wheels in the wood, because if you're less than half a base in, it doesn't count. It doesn't give much chance to maneuver, but the hill is great. My plan is a couple of units on the cav on the left, the light cav, and the other medium cav, the good ones. I'm going to try and draw off and tie up as much of the samurai right, or the left flank as we look, and pull off as much as possible and draw some shooting, all that kind of thing. Really just be a nuisance to get this main army ploughing through the middle with a large unit, blocking the left flank, and hopefully the chariot and the units in the middle are going to go smashing through, supported by cover fire from the woods when they finally walk through this impenetrable jungle that we get in Basic Gifts 2. So, another view of the setup. It's pretty much line them up and have a go kind of battle. The only thing I will also mention is right down the bottom left here, you can see my light cav, and in the woods on the left you can see some Japanese skirmishers. So if I do go in on the left, they're going to be outflanked, enflading fire from the wood and shooting in front of them. So I'm trying to keep those out of the game at least as long as possible. Alright, so we're rolling off for initiative. I think I'm the green dice, doesn't really matter at this stage. So as you can see, yep, skirmishers move through the woods, come to the edge to provide the shooting cover, and he's going to let me go to him, really. I wonder if I should have grabbed the hill. But to see that it's very close to my army, that hill, especially with the faster moving stuff. So I'm just punning up, and at this stage, I think I've realised that my light cav, you can see the one on the frame, the one that hasn't had their flocking on the texture on the base yet, is on the wrong side, really. You can't shoot. Can't really do much over this side. Where I really want to get is over on the right hand side, which is an absolute nuisance and a pain, because it means going across in front of an entire army and them all having to stop for a turn. But as they're all hiding on the hill, nothing's being shot, and it gives a bit more time for the guys to go through the woods on the right. It's not the end of the world. Alright, next turn. The dice, who goes first at this stage, is not important. They're mainly there just to show the marking of time and another turn passing. Okay, so you can see the light cav now clambering over the hill in the middle, stuff pushing up on the woods on the far right. On the far left, I hope you can see it on your picture, my light cav is swinging around on a detour, and I'm thinking the bottom of that wood, or that's the bottom of the top, the bit nearest the edge of the table at the far end, is not that wide. And maybe even at half speed they can hack through and get behind and be an absolute menace and try and draw off those units. So here's this bit of a traffic jam now. We're trying to stay over this side of the hill. We don't want to get shot yet. And the light cav wants to swing over to the far right and cause problems. If any of those units turn around, it's less shooting as they go in. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm the green dice. So I think Roger's with initiative. Not a lot he could do with that initiative, though, because all the shooting's hidden by the hill. Now, I've made a bit of a mess up. Light cav on the top left. Should have got them parallel to the edge of the table. Done the wheel when I was outside, so they wouldn't get disordered. Because they are like cav. They could have moved, wheeled, and then gone straight through the wood. But I didn't. And then if they wheel in the wood, it's going to cost an extra turn. But anyway. And once again, I'm going to have to go second. It will become important in a minute. So if we look in the wood on the left, just about to see them. Those light infantry or shooters, wherever they are, have turned round to go and take up my light cav. Everything else is pushing up. If my opponents realise that I'm not going to be coming up on this left-hand side. If he wants to shoot something, I have to come forward and shoot. So again, what's the word they use? Demonstrating. My cav will be demonstrating on this bottom left. Just try and draw things this way. And now the Teppo push up to the hill, which actually helps my charges. But don't forget, there is defensive fire in Basic Impetus 2, so it's not that simple. On the right, skirmishers are pushing up just to get in the way and let my other stuff come through the right flank. Okay, so you can see the light infantry are chasing through the woods to go and trap my light cav. So I'm hoping and just about going to make it out before they get there. I think it's going to come down to initiative rolls. And you can see the samurai right flank moving up to try and help against my surge through the middle. But don't forget, I do have this medium cav in his bottom left of the picture, off the picture. If he does turn them inwards, they're going to come charging in. Alright, so now looking at what charges are possible. And these light cav, I've been cursing the whole time saying, how can you have light cav with no missiles? You know, at least javelins or a bow or something. But they are 4-2. So that's 6 dice on the charge. That's quite nasty. So skirmishers are trying to shoot and get a disorder. And then the light cav are going to take their chances. I'm hoping if we get a stick, that means 1 unit less shooting. And then it's going to make a hole for the chariot to come through and the cavalry. And basically we're just going to pile in and see how this turns out. Pretty simple battle plan this time. They're sometimes the worst. They can sometimes go wrong the quickest. So that's what I'm lining up on the right hand side. And you can see the large unit has gone onto the hill. It has to protect the cav from being shot at. It can now be shot at from the left. But that's what large units are there for. Medium cav's got a green marker, so I've just rallied them a bit because they're going to start exchanging shooting with the Teppos. I think I've tried to set these dice up to show what happened, but I've used the greens for the samurai, so they've won the initiative using their once per game reroll. Okay, so you see the yellow arrows appearing there, the shooting's coming in, the large unit on the hill's getting a bit of shooting. My cavalry in the bottom left are getting shot at, not rolling particularly well, and the skirmishers in the top right have taken a hit, and I think we've got the situation where those skirmishers are now tangled up, or he's about to charge in to start a skirmisher battle, which is a nice trick, because if they don't hit each other, that means all those charges I have lined up can't go through. He's going just for the shooting now. There's a couple of red dots appearing, but not a lot of damage, and I got lucky with the cohesion test on the skirmishers at the top there. As you can see, and we're shooting back as well. I've got the guys coming out of the woods are shooting, skirmishers are shooting. Hang on, where's the chariot gone? Anyway, the cavalry is shooting. We're just having while we're lining up the charges, we're actually letting loose. There's the cavalry. There are the chariot on the far right. You can just see shooting out the side door, as it were. And this large unit is trying to pile in and get into a melee to stop being shot from the flanks there. Yeah, so we're looking at this situation with my light cav in the wood. Not turning them was really crucial because his light infantry are getting very close now. And we're looking at it, I think they'll probably escape. Depends on initiative, really. And if I got them straighter, they had a much better chance. So there's a close-up. Now, the crucial one, though, is the second arrow in from the left, where that unit of Teppo has actually turned around in case my light cav comes out of the wood. They are then facing the right direction to get them. Now, one of the reasons for doing this, of course, is the unit on the hill is going to get soaked up in a melee. So there's no obvious targets, and so you just well face that way. But that blinking, if you like, could be crucial. To see the samurai are going to... Oh, sorry, we're actually charging the samurai off the hill, or we're shooting at them. I think I actually shot them first. And the cavalry on the bottom are getting shot. And you can see the charges being lined up on the top. Yeah, bad news for the light cavalry as they lost the initiative. So they can't quite... I still thought they were out of charge range. But if you do the wheel first, which they had to do, these light infantry, you can wheel and charge if you're light infantry in the wood. So that's an advantage for them, I guess. And the key thing, which I hadn't really allowed for, you need to, is that when you do the charge bonus, so you roll a 3 there, which is +1 on the movement, that is not halved. So the extra +1 rather than +half means they just clip that light cav. If I hadn't had the problem having to wheel while in the wood and kept them straight, I think they would have escaped. There you go. Or if I got the initiative, that would have probably got them out as well. As anyone knows who follows my games, join the light cav in my army. You get loads of glory, but you don't hang around long to enjoy it. Okay, so meanwhile, the medium cav has gone flying through, and they've just destroyed that unit. They've just gone straight through. You can see them being lifted off the table. They've joined their mates, the light cav on the far right, with their Ford 2. They went blazing through and took out the other unit. 2 fantastic cavalry charges. The general's sitting at the back in his chariot thinking, way to go, boys. I haven't left any work for me to do. Where does he get stuck in? He's going to start turning around, and the large unit on the hill is just there to soak up stuff and protect the cav who have done their job. So everything going to plan at the moment, which is quite remarkable. So the samurai, I think, charged up the hill, so I get extra dice defending down the hill as foot. A bit of a bonus. But the samurai still go ploughing in, and immediately it's a couple more hits off the large unit. What you do find is large units will tend to outgrind the better quality smaller units. Those samurai really need they used to have supporting units and stuff like that, and those extra few hits they can take, even if you're just a level 3 peasants on the back, would make a huge difference. You just give them the endurance to take casualties, because they deal it out. Look at that, another 3 back ranks gone. They are really destroying those Chinese, but there's still a front rank of 5 disordered 4, and I think the samurai down to 3 at this point. So they've taken far less wounds for a weaker unit. I see unit being pointed at is the one that turned around to face the light cav, which didn't quite get out of the wood. If they hadn't turned around, they'd now be able to blast that cavalry. So the light cav sold themselves dear. They committed the light infantry. They also turned this Teppo round, and I think caused a little bit of stalling maybe in my opponent's mind for pushing up on that flank. Seemed to go slower and give chance to go through the rest of the army. That was the plan anyway. And yeah, we get one of these annoying situations in basic Impetus 2, all the Impetus games really, is when skirmishers get tied up in a melee like this. I was going to mention it a couple of slides ago. They're only thrown a couple of dice each. They can't hit, and no one can move through them, and the shooters in the wood can't shoot into a melee. Finally, the light infantry has gone walk, 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 walk all the way around the edge. No double moves anymore. They don't go any faster than anyone else. Well, frustrating. I'm frustrated with light infantry. They need an advantage, and speed is their advantage. Same as I think heavies should get cohesion bonus in all melees. That should be their advantage. You've got to exaggerate a little bit to make troops different and give them a purpose. Hey, that's a personal view. Discuss that another time or leave your comments. Anyway, they finally rammed into the back of the skirmishers. No problem, right? Wrong! One of the great things you have to laugh with Impetus is when someone rolls a 1 on the cohesion test and survives it with just a disorder. Look at that. There's me going on about my wonderful light calves sacrificing themselves to tie up one unit, another one for 2 turns. These skirmishers, I've got the light infantry behind them, the skirmishers, my king on his chariot can't get out, and he has to go forwards before he can wheel, so he can't move at all. The crossbows can't shoot in, so this bunch of peasants throwing stuff at each other is holding up the whole 4 units of my army. Luckily not crucial. Okay, so we push on, And finally, yeah, sure enough, with the advantage of the hill as well, and the large unit, they've ground down those samurai. Looking bleak for the Japanese now. And you see this bottom left-hand corner, just rallied those cav to stay out of trouble, boys. I could have just edged them back again, really. But there we are. Initiative time, and we get to go first. Hooray! And we'll do some shooting. Could have backed off, but we'll try the long-range shooting. We got bows, let's use them, why not? And I don't know if you can see in the wood, I think that like cav's finally been no more. So points to the opponent. Okay, yep, shooting on the left. Don't think it did anything. And the right flank, apart from that one skirmish unit, is all over. Yeah, and I didn't see this one coming, but I mean, the samurai on the way out, this is the death throes, and in comes the samurai heavy cavalry, finally into the game, to come in and see if they can mess up. The Chinese cav, as you can see, are already got the red dot and the disorder from the shooting. This is something Roger does very well, combined arms attacks. Teppo shot first, got the disorder, now the cavalry got a massive advantage when they come in. And yeah, so my green dice are my fighting dice, no hits, because we don't have 3 dice now, and 5 on the cohesion test. And when you consider the samurai had done a few hits, boom, gone, 1 round, very nasty. Luckily, too late to have a huge effect. Can't help but wonder if this flank had got attacking and more aggressive earlier, taking a chance. If it had beaten his cavalry, if it had gone the same way much earlier in the game, then that would now leave this heavy cavalry behind my flank, ready to turn around and cause absolute mayhem. So I think psychologically, if nothing else, the light cav stumbling through the wood just put the brakes on these guys a bit and gain the time needed. And also, just fantastic dice rolling my cav. It's ploughed through on the right. I mean, you don't expect that. They're slowly turning back into the game. Finally get rid of those blinking skirmishers, which brings the rest of the army round. And we are done. That funny enough, that was the one point needed to break the samurai. So they could have done that last turn. My cav wouldn't have got killed. So it was a pretty comprehensive rout this time. Western hand played up really well. Good rolls on the charging. I like the 4-2 light cav. I like the heavy chariot. I'm not sure I'm going to go with these, though. I'm fancying using the longbowmen. So let's have a quick analysis before I drift into that. Okay, I'm going to start to try and do a little bit more of a wrap-up and analysis at the end of the game. I think this is it. When you do battle reports, in many ways, the most important part is what you learn from the game, what went well, what decided the battle, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, here we go. This is my own view on it. The hill was a crucial factor. And I really think if you're up against a shooting army, get a hill down and try and put it somewhere near the centre. You've got to use a little bit of judgment and remember that advanced deployment could be happening, which could mess up your plans. Because the hill is really there to deliver your troops right up close to the shooters, so you've got to charge in without being shot. And because it's not difficult terrain as well, that's crucial. So, and if you're the shooter, I recommend you get on that hill as quickly as possible and get your shooting from there. Or anyway, hills are a real nuisance for shooting armies if they can't get on top of those hills. Worked really well. The diversion with the light cav came off brilliantly, which ties in with the concentration of force almost as much. The key to all these games on a strategic level is you want the local majority, same as all warfare. That's what you need to do. And its interesting thing was, because my heavy chariot I thought was going to be the key part of the concentration of force, yet didn't do an awful lot. What it didn't come across so well on the report was it did do a fair amount of support shooting, which just gave the extra disorder and that kind of stuff. So it helped, but it wasn't actually part of the charge. I got lucky. The cav did really well. But if they hadn't done so well, hopefully the chariot would have then made the second round of charges and done it. So which brings on the next point, good luck. You need some good luck. In all warfare, why not? It's part of warfare. Clausewitz said, warfare is a game of cards. He didn't say a game of chess. He said a game of cards. It's luck involved. You play the odds and you get lucky. And the army matchups, I think it's a tough matchup for the samurai, really. They're quite a small army. as you know, on the initial army pick, I think I would have kept with the Harquebus B and had the extra cavalry unit. I think that could have made a big difference if that had been a nuisance getting around the flank or ganging up. I don't know, generally it's a better choice, but definitely against the Chinese army. And especially as it worked out with the hill, the long-range shooting wasn't much help, really. So quick thought on the late samurai army. I've covered that partly in the last talk. It's small. It hits hard, but you don't really get the large units. And I think the Teppo shooters flatter to deceive. But I like Harquebus B. They shoot just as well at close range. And I would be all for push, 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 right into your enemy's face. One round of firing with the Harquebus B, or a round of defensive fire if your opponent gets the jump. I would use them entirely to protect the samurai. And then as soon as you get in range, get the samurai in and let them do the fighting. So, you have to be aggressive. I don't think it's a gunline army. It looks like one. I don't think it should be used as one. I think it should be used as an attacking, aggressive army. Which fits with samurai, so, you know, hats off to the army designers. But I think the cost of upgrading to Harquebus A, too expensive. Western Han is a cracking army. I mean, you haven't quite got enough of anything, but you have more than enough of everything. So you haven't got enough shooting to destroy an enemy army, especially at long range. But you've got good short-range shooting army if you get in there. It's an in-your-face knife fight kind of army, where it's got plenty of tough units. Yeah, and as you know, I like the heavy chariots. Some people don't. So interesting choices, and getting near to the tournament. So which army to pick? I mean, the only thing with the Chinese, I would say, is it's very similar to the army I used last year, Golden Horde, which did really well. Actually placed first, but I don't know, I think this army's better. But in a way, it'd be nice to have a different challenge. And I've enjoyed the 100 Years War bowmen, longbows. I think I'll be getting those out. And also, maybe Roger might want to try a different Chinese army. There's other Chinese armies available, which these figures work great for. And I think that'd be better. He can try that, because it gives him a change from last year. And I will try the longbows. I think the samurai are a big risk, because they are fragile. And they don't have... I know Roger's comments on them is they don't have enough skirmishers. If he could have that army with skirmishers, I think he'd love them and would use them a lot. But they don't really have that kind of protection that you need. So there you go. And we shall drift off to the lovely tones of the wonderful Angie, who's just walked in behind me with something from War Bases. Aha! Here come, good timing, here come the windows, or the frames, so I can do the infantry as well. So there we are, good timing. So until the next time, keep rolling!
就像那年匆促刻下永远一起那样美丽的谣言。如果过去还值得眷恋，愿它快冰释前嫌。谁甘心就这样彼此无挂也无牵？我们要互相亏欠。